the program Agric Economy on ARCN Television, Abuja, Nigeria. I am Khadija Uluwatoyin. Amin. Today's episode of the program is going to be a focus on the economic implication of agribusiness and policy translation of to the GDP. And our focus in this is going to be food security and self-reliance of staple food, so to say. In other words, you can say agriculture and food policy. We have a guest in the studio who is going to be analyzing that topic with us in person of Mr. Gabriel Dakolo. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, the topic is self-explanatory: agriculture and food policy analysis. Looking at it, you know, when we talk of food security, we talk of self-reliance of staple food and the rest. There's no how you will not touch on food policies and the rest of it. So far, how was Nigerian food policy like?
Nigeria has tried over the years to see how we can have food sustainability vis-a-vis our growing population. And that is why the government made it a point of duty at the times of abundance to have what we call the strategic grain reserves, where most of the grains that are purchased at the period of abundance is kept, so that there could be interventions when there is scarcity or when due to price fluctuations the price of staples affects the population severely. So based on that food policy, the government has tried as much as possible to ensure that there is periodic intervention in the area of price sustainability. There is intervention in the area of crop production as regards provision of fertilizers and other amenities for farmers to use. And also the government has tried as much as possible to provide logistics to ensure and aid the effective movement of these agricultural products to the respective markets. We also know that there are other measures that the government is trying to take to ensure that there is food sustainability in the area of research, improved seedlings, provision of adequate water for irrigation and the likes. And also we have seen that the government, in collaboration with the meteorological services, like Nigeria Meteorological Service, to provide advanced information to farmers as to the weather conditions, the severity of rain in the seasons, and also drought in the dry season. So these policies put together, the government tries to drive the food sustainability program by ensuring that there is sustainability on ground. Although it has faced so many challenges, and in the new era that we are in, we are believing that this new government will try to see ways and means of surmounting some of these challenges.
Okay, so far, what are the tools in this food analysis in checking that the country has enough food, especially for staple foods?
Definitely, the government tries as much as possible to engage farmers to ensure that there is interest in production of staple foods, like rice, for example, beans, millets, maize, and the rest. Because if there is no keen interest, then the farmers will not be willing to be able to go to the farm and ensure that there is adequate production of these staples. So the government tries as much as possible to provide incentives in the area of ensuring that farmers are adequately equipped in the area of provision of subsidized fertilizers, improved seedlings, and the rest. And also we discovered that the government also tries as much as possible to, in one way or the other, provide funding through the central bank and other affiliated sectors.
Quickly take a break. When we return, the program continues. Stay tuned. policy analysis? So for a layman, for a lay farmer, yes, to understand.
The policy analysis, for example, is the interpretation of the various policies of government in vis-a-vis the set milestone that governments intend to achieve, and also the impact that those policies have had both on the farmer and on the populace as it is. And that is why the government makes it a point of mandate to ensure that critical departments in the Ministry of Agriculture and some of the affiliated research centers provide data as regards production, as regards seedlings, as regards what the farmers are, the challenges the farmers are facing, so that it will help the government to be able to review its policies as regards the various agricultural sectors in the country and the segment. And we have seen that over time, with the work of the research institutes, the various research institutes all over the country, and the departments in the Ministry of Agric, various innovations has come out based on the policies of government to ensure that the policies are carried on to provide the necessary assistance for farmers to ensure that this food production is achieved, the targeted food production is achieved. So when we talk about policy analysis, is looking at the plans of government, the intentions of government, and reviewing the progress made so far, the successes and the failures, to be able to see ways forward. And you cannot analyze these policies without hitting the ground to touch the farmers, to touch food production, and to touch the effect of this food production as regards various sectors like pricing, availability, and what have you on the citizens. So the policy analysis of government is, okay, we have a 5-year plan on so areas of production. How far, after 2 years, have we achieved? What do you think we should do before this 5-year plan runs into fruition? And what are the things that could be improved upon to ensure that we get better results? So this is all what policy analysis entails when it comes to agriculture.
Okay, I know that there are so many policies that the federal government, both present and just the past administration, has put forward. Can you, shed light on one or two of these policies for us?
When you look at the area of the past administration as regards the anchor borrower policy, for example, the government decided to intervene using the anchor borrower as a platform to empower farmers to be able to produce certain staples for the country, like millet, rice, and yam, tubers, and the rest. And we discovered that through the instrumentality of the Central Bank of Nigeria, some farmers were appraised and the funds were disbursed to ensure that there is increased production of these staples. And we saw progress in some areas, while there were challenges here and there. But it was a key policy of the past administration, and the progresses were announced, and people saw that there was increased interest in the area of rice production, with collaborations from states, interstate collaboration between Lagos and Kebbi State and other states, to ensure that in the area of production and in the area of processing there is a synergy, so that these products get back to various brands of state-produced rice, for example, and other staples. So we discovered that anchor borrower policy targeted the farmers, encouraged them to intervene in the area of building their capacity and funding challenges, so as to be able to improve and ensure that they are able to produce as much as possible to release to the market.
Okay, yes, on that note, to quickly take a break. When we return, there's so many things to discuss. Our guest is going to be touching on the policy tools for policy analysis and the rest of it. it, there are so many policies and way of advantage. Like our guest said, the Anchor Borough program is one that is most very fantastic by the last administration, and of course it went a long way in ensuring that farmers get support in their different regions and areas as to getting better yields and, you know, enlarging their farm areas. You've said so much as regards these agricultural policies. What are the policy tools?
Actually, the government tries as much as possible to ensure that there's effective monitoring of these policies. They also try as much as possible to ensure that there is also feedback from the field, and also to ensure that between the government and the agencies that support agriculture, there is synergy, so that on the long run their works will not counter each other. So the Ministry of Agric, with its various research institutes and agencies and departments, ensure that there is synergy among them to be able to channel and project the policies of government. So they ensure that the tool of feedback, which is very, very important in data analysis, is always utilized, and also the review mechanisms the government uses is to ensure that at every point in time, certain agricultural products are brought under the radar, are evaluated, and ways and means of improving on them are projected by the various stakeholders to ensure that this is implemented by government. So when we look at the policy tools, we discover that the government tries as much as possible to implement what we call review through feedback mechanism, using available data that has been gathered from the field, to ensure that there is synergy between the various agencies and government, and also ensure that the policies are the policy implementation is also seamless, because implementation is also one of the major tools that can actually drive the policy of government. So government has tried as much as possible to ensure that the key departments in the ministry is in tune with what is on ground, and ensure that they have the farmers and the people in the field have adequate access to information as regards what needs to be done at every point in time.
Okay, you talked about having synergy. Talking synergy, I know that there are some Nigerians that still find it very difficult in getting improved treatment, improved. What do you think can be done in the area of policy making?
Yes, if you look at government intervention as regards improved seedlings, you cannot rule out politics. You cannot rule out the Nigerian factor from it. But what I believe is that government should engage from the federal to the state level and the local government to ensure that whatever the federal government, for example, brings out as improved seedlings actually gets to the stakeholders. This is the major problem that we have, because if the federal government in its position does not ensure and monitor what the federal government is delivering to the states, there is a major problem, or there is a possibility that this will not trickle down to the local government, and it will also affect how the farmers, the intended farmers, are able to receive it. So that is a major problem that we are having, and that is why we cannot, for example, stay in the federal government and believe what is being said by the states if we do not monitor it. Because when the federal government releases, for example, the improved seedlings through the research institutes and the agencies to the states can decide to do whatever it likes with it. Whereas it's the federal government that is the sole provider of this improved seedling. So the federal government should ensure that it has the monitoring team that follows up with the state to ensure that the respective farmers in all the local governments are able to receive it without stress, without problem, and without politics being attached to it.
How about the area of acceptability by these farmers? Or, we know that some farmers will tell you that basically what they grow on their farm is just the regular, yes, and then they're not willing to. I know when the BT cowpea came out, the OFAB country director, Mrs. Rose, found it very difficult in, disseminating information that this is safe. The only difference is that there's no Maruca attack on it and the rest of it. Is there need for government policy to come up in regards to telling Nigerians that this is actually safe, and not just these agencies coming out to do advertisements?
Yes. And I believe that advertisement will go a long way. The use of the National Orientation Agency in this regard is also very important.
Okay.
But above all, the government should also use the instrumentality of its various agencies and research institutes to what I would say provide a nursery in those various areas in the field, so that these farmers can see how it is practicalized. It is when you are there, when an improved seedling is being produced, as in it's being grown, and to see how it grows, and you see the effects, that you will also have there's a saying that seeing is believing. So yes. I believe that apart from advertising or information dissemination through the various agencies of government, there should be nurseries in various geopolitical zones or even states, so that farmers can be invited to come and observe the improvement on these improved seedlings, and to see how it grows, and to see in practical terms what we are trying to explain for them, so that they will also be able to have a buy-in on using these improved seedlings, knowing very well that it will be a win-win situation, but for both the farmers and the country, because improved seedlings comes with multiple benefits, to the extent that it increases growth, it increases yield, it also reduces wastages through pest attack and the rest. So these things need to be practicalized through the various nurseries, so that the farmers that are objecting to it can see that how it works, and also know that it's safe for consumption and the rest. So these are the things that the government needs to do: information dissemination, and also practicalizing the use of these seedlings as well.
Okay, yes. Aside, we've talked about the synergy of Nigerians and farmers, and you've talked about acceptability and the rest of it. The agricultural analysis. The truth is that yes, the federal government is trying to see how Agric can become so attractive to use. Some youths just believe that farming is just for food consumption alone, and the rest of it. Few days back, or last week, we were at an event where the All Farmers Association of Nigeria had something like the popular Big Brother. It's called the Agribusiness, which is supposed to come up to bring youth together and the rest of it. And then we sat down with some colleagues, and then we were saying, what economic benefits will this be to the, because of course, if we talk now, this present administration is talking agriculture vis-a-vis growing the country's GDP, and not just growing agriculture. How do you involve youth in understanding agricultural policies, and as well as connecting them to knowing that this also contributes to the nation's GDP?
Actually, just to borrow from the past the former president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, when he said or was misquoted that Nigerian youths are lazy. I do not want to believe that Nigerian youths are lazy, but I also want to have add an axiom to it that Nigerian youths have what we call entitlement mentality. They believe that the government should do everything for them, and that is why, you know, when we talk about farming is synonymous to hard work. It is not something you grow today and comes up immediately like the boys that once get rich syndrome, going through various means, using Yahoo, fraudulent means and the rest, because that one provides instant gratification, which agriculture does not, because it takes time for you to be able to start reaping the benefits of agriculture, because there is a season for planting, there is a season for grooming it, and there is a season for harvest and for you to take it to the market. So these various areas needs to be introduced to the youth. The timing of progress in agriculture needs to be spelled out through we have SMIDAM, for example. We have other agencies of government that interact directly with the youth, and I'm very happy that this new administration is trying to attack the problems that we have in the agricultural sector by providing funding to ensure that farmers are able to take off to be able to produce as much as possible. But in that regards, we know that the key segment or the key age grade of this kind of program will be the youths. It is the youths that the government should look at to ensure that they carry on with this new projection of government as regards producing farming on the land, producing incentives, producing funding for them. And this, you need to have an idea that these funds that is coming, just like you see in other initiatives of government where these youths are empowered and they take it to do something else, this one should be adequately monitored. Results should also be generated, and also the youths, just like I said initially, should know that there is a time frame for the progress of a farmer in the farm, and that this time frame cannot be jumped. You need to follow the process to ensure that you become a successful farmer on the long run. Since we know the background mindset of our youths, we need to prepare their mind when it comes to engaging them in agriculture. That is when the interest comes in. For example, a graduate in Nigerian University that has graduated, that is going for the NYSC, knows that he will spend 1 year to serve his fatherland. So he's already prepared. When he comes out from the orientation camp, he knows he's going to be seconded to an agency, whether private or public, to serve for 1 year. So a youth that we want to engage in agriculture should know that there is a process to ensuring that you start from learning the rudiment, go to the production, go to harvest, then you'll be able to reap the benefits gradually. So this has to come at the back of the minds of the youth, so that they will not think that they are just coming to take government funds and use it for something else.
Thank you very much for coming on the program, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, you've heard it. There's so much to be done, even when our government has put in these policies, and then some experts, like we have in the studio, is able to analyze what the policy translates into, in ensuring that agribusiness actually moves forward, and you're able to get enough gain when you deal with agriculture. On that note, we'll wrap it up on the program for this week. Agric Economy joins again, same time, same station next week. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin. Saying bye.